Hello, I'm Emily and I'm one of your Level Up Transformation coaches. Today's education topic is called Systems for Success. Now, we all want to know what the secret to good nutrition is. Now, education and knowledge is definitely a great starting point. However, all the knowledge in the world isn't really useful if we don't know how to actually implement it. And that's what we're talking about today. It's really about the tangible, actionable systems that you can implement today for long term good nutrition. Today, we'll be covering why we need nutrition systems, what the three key systems are for your success. We're going to cover some tips, and we're also going to cover how to take action at the end of the session. Let's launch straight in. Why do we need systems? Quite simply, systems turn good intentions into unstoppable habits. Every meal becomes a stepping stone to lasting success. So the key takeaways here, it's all about habit formation. We want to turn some short-term success or some short-term couple of days of really good eating into lasting habits. So we don't want this transformation that you're embarking on to be a fad. We want it to set you up for really long-term success. So if you get going on the systems that we talk about today and you really work hard to implement them over the next weeks of this program, then you will be setting yourself up for longer term habit change. And that's really important and what we're all really looking for. So, why do we need systems in our day? Why can't we just eat well and just keep it front of mind? Well, simply put, it really takes the guesswork out. We want to be creating structure and routine in our day, which really makes it much easier to stay consistent, especially like on busy days or stressful days when your motivation is going to be low. When you have systems in place like meal planning, shopping lists, food prep, you're not starting from scratch every week. You have a repeatable process that you can draw on. It's like part of your toolkit and it will save you time, reduce stress, and really just set you up for really healthy eating. So it's all about creating amazing habits, and habits are built on repetition and ease. Systems simply help remove those I guess barriers, like when you come home and you just don't know what to cook, or you don't have the right ingredients on hand, and that can really just sort of undo you a little bit if you're not prepared. habits will these habits are built off really good systems, which make healthy choices more of the default, not the exception. So instead of relying on willpower every day, you have systems in place that will really help you move towards your goals in a more sustainable and more achievable and more long term way. So, the three systems for success that I like to start with for people on a transformation are one, planning, two, shopping lists and food shops, and three, food preparation. So, let's go over them in a little bit more detail. So, let's talk first about meal planning. Why does meal planning even matter? Well, it reduces daily decision fatigue. So you don't have to ask what's for dinner every single night when it's already planned. You're taking out that guesswork so you can really focus your willpower on where you need it in your day. It supports better nutrition choices. Obviously, if you plan ahead, it helps you avoid all those impulsive, less nutritious meals like takeaways and fast food that you might make if you haven't planned ahead. Or if you're just tired and really hungry, you might just resort to something like that. So it takes that out. It saves you time during the week. So you shouldn't have to make multiple daily trips to the shops, or you might make one or two a week at the very most, but you don't need to do it daily. So it supports that last minute scrambling to put a meal on the table. It will also save you money. This is a really big one. Cost of living is high at the moment, so any money you can save is going to be beneficial. Meal planning will help you buy only what you need. It will reduce food waste and take out some of the cost to everyday living, which is, it's something we all want. It also keeps you consistent with your goals. When your meals are aligned with your health and energy needs, your results will come faster and more sustainably. Additionally, it minimizes stress. So, knowing what's on your daily menu really just removes that low level anxiety of just not being prepared. It also improves portion control. Meal planning does support um, this idea of intentionality. You are making intentional decisions about what you plan to eat ahead of time rather than in the moment when you're a bit tired or a bit over hungry. So if you plan your meals out, you can it makes it much easier to create balanced plates and avoid overeating. So that's really important and it helps you stay on track with your goals. It also allows you to pre-portion your meals if you want to suit your energy needs and reduce mindless snacking. We all know that when we've had a proper meal, we're less likely to snack in between main meals. I think that's something that we all know from experience. And that's important so we don't have to, rely on willpower every day. It will help you It will help manage cravings as well and increase satisfaction. If you're actually having a proper meal that's well planned out, something you're looking forward to eating, you're more likely to be satisfied and nourished, and you're less likely to be reaching for convenience snacks. Meal planning also makes grocery shopping far easier and quicker. A plan leads to a really targeted shopping list and then will avoid you wandering the aisles aimlessly, wondering what you should be buying. Additionally, it allows you to enjoy more variety and balance in your week. We can all get stuck in a bit of a rut with our nutrition and our eating habits. If you build a week of meals or have a plan for a week of meals and shop for everything you need, it's going to really help you get that variety that you're looking for. So you'll plan different proteins, you'll plan different vegetables, you'll plan different ways to flavor your meals, and it just makes eating more enjoyable and healthy eating far more sustainable. As the saying goes, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And this speaks volumes when applied to nutrition and habit formation. Essentially, without a clear plan, you're more likely to fall into the trap of reactive choices rather than intentional, healthy behaviors. We're all about being intentional on this program with our health and the choices that we make. So we want to set ourselves up for the future of being more intentional going forward. So if you don't plan, we all know that you tend to set yourself up for failure by leaving a little bit too much to chance. And when we plan and have in place and have systems around this, it really paves the way for that longer term success and really lasting habits. So meal planning, what to do. It's pretty simple, actually. It's just really about getting into a habit of doing it more than anything. It doesn't need to be anything overly complicated, but you do need to write it down. That's really important. So write down the breakfast you're having every day. Could be the same thing every day. I know I don't mix my breakfast up very often, and that's quite common for a lot of people. Write down your breakfast, write down your lunch and your dinner every day. Additionally, a really important tip is to get your calendar out at this point. Get your phone out, see what's going on for the week. Overlay it with your diary. So, what have you got on? Have you got something on Monday night? You have to work back late Tuesday night. What are the best meals to have on which nights, depending on what's going on in your calendar? This is a key takeaway, to be overlaying your menu plan with your calendar. It's going to help you make better decisions. It's going to really set you up for success. So write that down if you haven't. Note anything at the end of the day, just note down anything extra that you ate. This is really important. It's an iterative process. It's not just I'm writing this down and I'm eating it. Sometimes we'll stray a bit off the plan, but this is a really big learning opportunity for next week to plan better. So if we write down what we intend to eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then we add to it across the day what we actually ate, like add anything extra, then it will help you It will help you plan better for next week. Maybe you're a bit undercooked. Maybe one meal wasn't enough for you and you were snacking in between breakfast and lunch. And maybe if you just had a bit more, a bit more in your breakfast, maybe that would help you. Or additionally, maybe you ate lunch too late and you got over hungry and then you just snacked all the way between lunch and dinner. That's another common thing. But if we use our learnings to plan better for the following week, it's going to definitely help us. What templates do you use? You can buy templates. You can buy them. I've got a template. If anybody wants it, just ask me for it. I'll send it through. You can buy templates from Kmart. You can do weekly ones, or you can just write it down on a piece of paper too. So that's meal planning. This leads directly into the second system for success, which is shopping lists and weekly shopping. So you can't go shopping without a list. You will really be buying a bunch of random ingredients that don't necessarily go together and don't support your goals and your nutritional needs. So this complements what we just spoke about, obviously, for many, many reasons. It prevents impulse buys. Obviously, having well-planned lists helps you avoid grabbing unhealthy last-minute items that will derail you from your nutrition goals. So if you stick to your list, it's good. It ensures nutrient availability in terms of if you go and plan a shopping list and do a weekly shop, it ensures that you have all the nutritious ingredients that you plan to eat on hand, and you're not just, I'll get it from the IGA around the corner from my house and then it's not there. If you do a proper shop, it shouldn't happen. It saves time as well. And we all want to save time, right? That's something important for everyone. We want to save time. We want to save energy. So a dedicated shopping day and pre-made list streamlines this process of a grocery shop so well, reduces the time you spend wandering the aisles, and minimizes decision fatigue. Once again, we don't want to drain our decision-making capability on simple things like food shopping. We want to make sure we save that for when it really counts. It saves money and reduces waste. Obviously, we buy only what we need and avoid over purchasing, which not only helps your budget but also cuts down on food waste. I know that's very important to a lot of people. It supports consistent meal planning as well. Regular planned shopping reinforces your overall meal planning system, ensuring that the healthy choices that you want to make are available when it's time to cook. Reduces stress, knowing exactly what you want to buy. Can make grocery shopping just less overwhelming, leading to a more positive mindset around food and maintaining a healthy lifestyle. We want to make things easy. If you're gonna make it hard, you're not going to want to do it. So you want to take every chance you can to streamline your life and make things easy. System, where are we up to? And reduces stress overall. Tips for a shopping list. Some of this is going to be really obvious. Write down everything that you're going to buy and only buy what's on your list. No browsing. Shop the perimeter of the supermarket. Now, the perimeter of the supermarket, rather than the aisles, is where all the good stuff lies. That's where you find your vegetables and your fruit and your proteins. All that's on the outside. So stick to the outside as much as possible, and only duck into the aisles for what you absolutely need. Shop less and plan better. Like you might need a top up during the week for some extra vegetables and whatnot, but you should be able to get most of it in your main weekly shop. And then any additional trips you have to make become just an absolute ease because it's just a couple of items, not a whole shopping list. Just a reminder, shop the perimeter. I know I already mentioned it, but that's where all the nutrient-dense foods lie. Obviously, you don't have to shop in a supermarket. You could shop in a grocery store or a market as well. That's even better. But most of us do shop in supermarkets. But shopping the perimeter is where you find all the fresh foods, things that you're going to want to be eating while you're doing this transformation program. This now leads to our next system for success. So we've planned our meals out for the week. We've done our food shop. Now it's time to do some food preparation. Now, a lot of people get really scared by this because they think that it means you have to prepare everything you're going to eat for a week all at once. That is absolutely not the case. It just means really spending a little bit of time at the start of your week, whenever that might be. It might be a Sunday, might be a Monday, might be a random Thursday. Depends on how you structure your week. Just spending some time at the start of your week to make the week run a bit smoother and help your adherence to your plan. So food preparation really does help you establish consistency. So when you prepare meals in advance, you create a regular eating pattern that really supports stable blood sugar levels, really helps you form long-term healthy eating habits. It also reduces impulse eating. So if you've done a little bit of preparation and prepared some nutritious meals, you're less likely to resort to last minute, less healthy options. It really encourages balanced, thoughtful choices. Your food prep really lets you control the ingredients and the portion sizes that you choose to be eating, ensuring that every meal aligns with your dietary needs and reinforces positive nutritional routines. So that's just a bit of an intro. What do we mean by food preparation? I guess things we want to cover today is really just around a little bit goes a really long way. It doesn't need to be this big overwhelming thing like I mentioned before. And there's different methods as well. Different methods suit different people. We're all not the same, so our food prep will look a bit different for everyone. So let's go over a few different approaches. So once again, remember, we're not prepping every single thing we're going to eat for the week. That is a sure way to burn out. One approach that I really like to use, this is my preferred approach, is a time allocation approach. Now, whatever time I've got, usually one or 2 hours, I wouldn't tip over 2. It's just too much all in one go. It's just how much can I prepare in that time. So what I'll do is I'll cut up and I'll prepare old food before buying new. I'll prepare maybe a meal or two for the week. That's really important as well. So literally I will set my timer on my oven for as much time as I've got, and in that time I'll just be boiling eggs, chopping veggies, preparing a meal for the week. So I've got one ready to go, and just literally as much as I can do in that hour, and then I stop. That will be really good for people who are still working. That's a good approach. The other approach is the leftover approach. This is where you just cut up and prepare all old food before buying new food to avoid any wastage. If you do this before you plan your next week, you will know, okay, in the first day of my week, I'm going to eat all these old ingredients. They're prepped, they're ready to go. I just need a couple of bits and bobs to add to that, and now I've got meals. That's great for people who hate wasting, and it's a really good approach. And you can combine that approach with other approaches too. Many people love the cook once, eat twice approach. So if you're cooking a meal up, making double, so you can either eat leftovers for another night's meal during the week or the next day for lunch. You know, lunches are built for leftovers. It's a great thing to do to save you some time. Another prep method that I use is I really focus on my danger zones. So what are the things that trip me up? Now, it depends at different points in your life. Some people get tripped up by sweet treats. So you might want to focus some food prep on creating some healthy sweet treats that are going to get you through the week, so you're not reaching for the Cadbury at 3 p.m. Additionally, if I know I'm going to have a really busy week and being flat out in the middle of the day, I will focus my attention on doing some food prep that help my lunches stay on track. Most people don't need to worry too much about dinner, because dinner is often the easiest meal of the day. Most people eat a healthy dinner. But just focusing your food prep on the area that trips you up is a really good approach, especially if you have limited time. So there we have it. We've covered the 3 key systems: creating a shopping list, doing a meal plan, creating a shopping list and doing a food shop, and then doing some food preparation. Some tips. Now let's go into some tips, because having all this information and not acting on it is not going to get you anywhere. So remember, we're not preparing absolutely everything we're going to eat for a week. Just just, being very focused and intentional about it. Just means spending some time at the start of the week to make your week run a bit smoother and help adherence to your plan, and your goals. That's what we're all here doing, working towards our big goals. So, some tips: schedule a weekly planning session. Actually, get your calendar out. Pause this recording right now. Get your calendar out and schedule in when you're going to plan and write your shopping list. Schedule a second time for your weekly food shop and schedule 1 to 2 hours per week for food prep. These are some big keys, right? So I prefer not to do those 3 things all at the one time. I prefer to do a plan and write my list and then do my shop. But I don't always want to do the food prep straight after I've done my shop. Sometimes that can be a bit exhausting, and I'll do my food shop on a Saturday and my food prep on a Sunday. That's a way to approach it. You don't have to do it all at one big chunk of time. Also, schedule inventory your kitchen before you plan. Check what you have on hand to minimize waste and reduce extra purchases. That's really important as well. We don't want to be wasting food. Additionally, create a sectioned shopping list. So divide your shopping list into categories. So whatever makes sense for you. It might be produce, you might have a dairy section, you might have a protein section. This is going to make for a far faster trip around the perimeter of the supermarket if everything's categorized. You've got all your fruit in one section, you've got all your veggies in one section, you've got all your dairy under one section, and any additional things you have to go into the aisles for in its own section. Other tips: plan to cook a little bit extra. Make that part of the planning process to cook a little bit extra. Leftovers don't have to just be what's left. You can plan to cook extra portions intentionally. That way you've got healthy, ready-made meals for those busier days. Additionally, batch cook staples. Prepare larger quantities of things like quinoa or vegetables or grilled chicken or hard-boiled eggs, and portion them out ready to go for the week. Prep ingredients in advance. We already talked about that. Chop in advance. You can even wash and chop and store fruits and vegetables as soon as you get home from the shop, so they're ready to use. That will also make you more inclined to actually eat them as well. So they're just a few final tips. Next, we want to just cover off action. Let's take some action. What I want you to do right now is I want you to get your calendar out now and plan when you'll do your planning next week, when you'll do your food shop, and when you're going to do your food prep. So it might be over the next couple of days or whenever works in your diary. Just get that out now and pop it in. That's the biggest takeaway from this presentation. So let's diarize these tasks, and you almost might want to put them in as weekly events in your calendar. That's a really good way to make sure they always happen as well. So pop it on a weekly, if that fits in, with your diary and your schedule. If you've got a weekly schedule, that would work for you. So pause that, do that right now. Other than that, thank you for watching, and I will see you soon in our next online catch-up. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.